Hello fashion lovers, welcome again to another interesting video tutorial. In case you're new here, my name is Gift. In today's video, I'll be showing us how to join the patterns for the more clover jacket or dress that we drafted in our last video. Here I have gone ahead to add half of an inch seam allowance round the collar. Okay, I added half of an inch to the collar around like so, and I also cut out two pieces for the main fabric and two pieces for the lining fabric, which gives me four pieces for the collar. I also went ahead to attach my hairstay interfacing to the collar just to give it some kind of stability. And here I have the center front and I have the side front. I went ahead to cut out two pieces for the main fabric and two pieces for the lining fabric. I added half of an inch seam allowance round except for the side front, which I added 1 inch seam allowance from that part all the way down to the hem of the dress. And for the lining, as you can see, my fabric, the main fabric, is 2 inches longer than the lining fabric, as I will be toning the main fabric with the lining later on. And here for the center front, I added half of an inch seam allowance round like so. I also cut out two pieces for the main fabric and two pieces for the lining fabric. So if you actually want to use a separate fabric entirely from your main fabric in order to form your collar, you are free to do so. I also attached my hairstay interfacing to both the main fabric and the lining fabric for the center front alone, just the center front. So this is the only part that has the interfacing. I added half of an inch seam allowance round, and as you can see, my lining is also 2 inches shorter than the main fabric. Okay, so I extended the hem of this dress by 6 inches, guys. So the hem of the dress I extended by 6 inches, but the lining fabric is 2 inches shorter than my main fabric, just as you can see in the video. I went ahead to iron that in just to make it easier for us to understand. Okay, so I'll be taking this away and then show us what the back part looks like. As you can see, I have the center back part and I also have the side back part. On the center back part, I added half of an inch seam allowance to both the main fabric and the lining fabric. I added half of an inch to that part, which I will be joining to the side back. On the side back, I added 1 inch seam allowance to the side alone. So it means every part of this fabric has half of an inch seam allowance except for the side, which has 1 inch seam allowance run. Just like we did for the front part, the back part is also the back lining is also 2 inches shorter than my main fabric, as you can see in the video. I did it for both the side and the center back pieces. Okay, so this is exactly what I was trying to explain to us. The lining is 2 inches shorter. Okay, so now I'll be showing us how to join. In order to join, you're going to pick your two main center back fabrics and then join them together on the center back line by half of an inch. When you are done joining those parts at the center back, now you're going to have them as a separate piece like so. Then you pick up one part of the side like so. Make sure you're picking the right one and join it on the shoulder line all the way to the hem with half of an inch. When you are done doing that, pick up the second side back and also join to the other side. You're also going to repeat this same process for your lining fabric. Okay, so I will do that now and then I will show us how it looks like. Okay, so at this point I'm going to pin down, guys. I'll pin down and then show us what to do on the side, on the front patterns. So I'm just going to take away these patterns like so and then show us what to do. So the side front, you're going to pick one piece from the side front. Can you see? Pick up one piece and then join it to your center front piece like so, meaning you'll be picking one piece each. So at the end of the day, you're going to be having two separate pieces for the front pattern, okay, for the front rather. You're also going to repeat the same process for your lining fabric. As you can see, only my side front for the lining I'm making use of a separate lining, while the center front I'm making use of my main fabric. At this point, guys, I was done joining, and this is what the center front looks like. As you can see, just the center front part has the interfacing, and here is the side front. I also went ahead to open up my seam lines. Guys, you need to do this. It's kind of give your works some kind of neat finishing, and it makes it a lot more easier for you. So by the time I place them together like so, this is what we're going to be having. Can you see? This is what we'll have, okay? So by the time I turn this in, and that is how the collar is gonna look like. For the back as well, I went ahead to press in the allowance on the hem. I also open up my seam lines after giving it a very nice notch. So here is what the right side of the back part looks like, and here is the lining fabric as well. I've gone ahead to open up my seam, and for the front pattern, the lining part, I also went ahead to open up my seam line. Like I said before, if you want to make use of a separate fabric, let's say a crepe fabric for your center front, you can as well do that. Now back to our collar, I'm going to be attaching the collar like so to the main fabric and the lining fabric. And for me to understand which part is facing up, I'm just going ahead to label which part is facing up and which part is facing down. You also need to do this so you don't get confused. Now I'm going to pick two pieces like so. One a pair is going to serve for the lining, while the other pair is going to serve for the main fabric. And in order to join that together, please pay attention. This is what you're going to do. Remember, when we were drafting our collar, we went up by 2 inches from that part, by 1.5 inches rather, and then we added half of an inch seam allowance to that, which will give us 2 inches. Okay, now why on the upper part, on this part of the collar, we went up by 3 inches, and then we added half of an inch seam allowance to give us 3.5 inches. So from that 3.5 inches, you're going to pin down. Can you see? Pin down from that 3.5 inches. I'm just going ahead to remeasure just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. You could mark or you could notch. Either of the two, it's fine, just so you don't get confused by the time you start to join. Guys, you need to take note of whatever you marked on your initial pattern. Okay, so I'm just going to notch that point like so. Now that I've notched, it is easier for me to attach, so I'm just going to place that like so on the starting point of my lining fabric. Now I'm working with the lining, I'm working on the lining part, the lining fabric, so I'll place it that way, and then I'll pin it down. Can you see? So I'm going to pin it down. So the 3.5 inches above is the collar width for the back, remember. So now from that point, I'll keep pinning all the way from that point all the way to the 1.5 inch 2 inches seam allowance at the center front. Okay, now guys, try to pin down. When you pin down, it makes the work a lot more easier. Okay, please work with pins. So can you see? So now I'm done pinning, and then I'm going to remeasure that part just to be sure that I have my 2 inches intact. Okay, can you see? Good. So now that you're sure that you have your 2 inches or whatever it is you came in by intact, the next thing you're going to do is to take this to the sewing machine and then join them together with half of an inch. Okay, you're going to join them together with half of an inch. When you're done doing that, you also repeat the same process for the other part of the lining fabric. Remember, you are going up by 3.5 inches. Okay, so you have to go up by 3.5 inches as well, and then you will join that to your lining fabric. For the other pair, you are also going to repeat the same process for your main fabric. Here I'm also going up by 3.5 inches. I'm going to pin that down like so. Okay, guys, pin down. When I'm done pinning, I'll just keep pinning like so, pin down, pin down, pin down, just so you don't make mistake. Okay, I will also pin that to that 2 inches we went in by initially. I mean 1.5 inches. We added half of an inch seam allowance to give us 2 inches. So I'll pin it down like so, and then when I'm done pinning, I will head straight to the sewing machine, and then I will join that with half of an inch. Okay, you're also going to repeat this same process for the other side of your main fabric. So guys, in case you have not subscribed, please do where to subscribe, like, and also turn on your notification bell. So at this point guys, I'm done joining, and here I'm just remeasuring just to show us that I still have my measurements intact. I have the 3.5 inches intact. So can you see? So on the main fabric, I went in by 1.5. I mean the main pattern, I went in by 1.5. I then added half of an inch seam allowance, while on the upper parts I went up by 3 inches, and then I added half of an inch seam allowance, which gave me 3.5 inches. So I'm only just remeasuring guys. Please remeasure to be sure that you have your measurements intact. So now that we are done joining all the pieces together, the lining pieces and the collar and the main fabric pieces in the collar, the next thing we are going to do is to pick up the main fabric like so. You can start working with your lining fabric or your main fabric. So by the time you place them together like so, this is what you have. Pick them up together, and now remember you have label the upper part, go to the straight sewing machine, and then stitch that together by half of an inch. You're also going to repeat the same thing, right side facing right side for the lining fabric, and then stitch them together on the upper part by half of an inch. So guys, at this point I was done joining, and I've also gone ahead to press open my seam lines. And also, if you notice this part, I actually pressed it upwards just to make it have this inseam look. I mean this perfectly finished look. And here on the lining fabric as well, I did the same thing, and on my main fabric I repeated the same thing. So guys, it is time to join our main fabric to our lining fabric. Okay, so in order to do that, this is exactly what you will do. I'm just trying to tell us that we need to press that part. Okay, you need to press. It makes your work a lot more easier. So in order to join the main fabric to the lining fabric, you're going to pick the collar area like so. Now can you see that square shape we have on the neckline? Okay, that square shaped part is where we're going to be attaching our lining fabrics to. So I'm just opening up the half of an inch seam which I pressed in. So you're going to pick, attaching our back pattern to rather. So now you're going to pick your back pattern and make sure the center back is aligning with the neckline. Okay, remember you joined your front pattern on the neckline, yeah, the center neckline. Okay, the center collar line. So join them together, make sure the two are aligning. Also make sure the shoulder darts on your back is aligning with the shoulder darts on the front. Okay, make sure they are aligning like so, and then pin them down. Guys, in case you're confused on how we achieve this, I'm going to be leaving the link on how we drafted this pattern in the description box, just so you will understand. Okay, so also pick up the other side of the back, make sure the shoulder dart or the shoulder line is matching with the shoulder line of the front. Okay, pin them all the way down like so, and then when you're done pinning, I'll also pin up this part. I'll pin down this part rather. Guys, you need to pin down because this part is a very delicate part. If you make a mistake, it's going to affect the entire look of this dress or this jacket or whatever it is you're making. So you need to work with a lot of pins. So I'm also going to pin down this other part. Okay, I'll pin it down like so. And when I'm done pinning, I'll just head straight to the sewing machine and then give this and then stitch this down by half of an inch. Okay, so guys, at this point I was done pinning. I'll just go straight to the sewing machine and stitch this down by half of an inch. You're also going to repeat the same process for both the lining fabric. So you're going to be pinning your center back or the back pieces or the back piece rather to your front piece just the same way, I mean the exact same way we did for the front. Pin down the necklines and make sure the shoulder lines are also aligning. So now guys, I'm done joining at this point, and this is what you have. So can you see how neatly finished that part look? You need to achieve a seamless finish at this part, because the beauty of this whole thing is actually the collar area. So guys, can you take a look at the that square shaped area we have for the neckline? I've joined them together. So at this point I have joined my pocket to the side front. So guys, maybe some other time I'm going to make a video on how to attach an invisible pocket. So I'm just going to place the two sides together like so. Okay, I'll place the two sides together like so, the center front and the side back, the side back and the side front. I'll place them together like so, can you see? And then I'll pin them all the way down to the hem of the dress. So when I'm done pinning, you want to go ahead and then stitch that down by whatever seam allowance you added. For me, I added 1 inch seam allowance to my side front and side back. You're also going to repeat the same process for the other side of the front and the back. Place them together like so, and then pin them down. When you're done pinning, go ahead to the sewing machine and then stitch them down by whatever seam allowance you added initially. Okay, now when you are done working with the main fabric, you're also going to repeat the exact same process for the lining fabric. Pick up the two sides for your lining fabric and then go to the sewing machine and stitch them together by whatever seam allowance you added. Okay, so guys, I'll do that now and then I'll show you what it looks like. At this point guys, I was done joining, and then I'm just showing you that you need to open up the seam lines. So when you are done joining the sides together, open them up and then give it a very good press. Give it a very good press. Open up your seams. Okay, so now it is time to attach our lining fabric to our main to our main fabric. So I'm also trying to show us that for the lining fabric, you're also going to open up the seam lines and then join them together. Now to put our lining and the main fabric together, please pay attention. You're going to pick up the two necklines like so, the center neckline now. Put them together like so, making sure it is right side facing right side, and then pin them together. Okay, keep pinning, pin the collar area together as well. Make sure they are aligning. Okay, you're gonna pin the collar area together. Now guys, when you're joining this collar area, you need to pay attention, okay, because you need to follow the exact same shape you have on the collar area. Okay, so I'm gonna pin it all the way round like so. You pin them round, and then when you get to the hem area, because now remember our main fabric is 2 inches longer than our lining fabric, so in order to join them together, what you're going to do is to make sure that the joinings are aligning. Okay, make sure they are aligning. So by the time you pin to this point, you will discover that there will be some space, or there will be a shortage on the lining. Yes, this is expected, because by the time you join your lining fabric, of course your main fabric will come up a bit. So in order to join this together, you're just going to pick them up like so. Make sure that every joining is matching up with each other. I mean the main fabric joining is matching up with the lining fabric joining. Guys, this is very, very important. So by the time you join the lower part, just go to the sewing machine and then join them together. I'm just re-explaining or reiterating this part. Now this is the side part for the lining fabric. I'm just aligning it with the side part of the main fabric, and then I'll pin it down. You also want to repeat this same thing for the other part. Keep pinning, making sure that all the joinings are aligning, because if they do not align and you just join them together, one part will be longer or bigger than the other part, and it will not have a balance. Like the dress will not have a balance with your body silhouette. So now in order to do this, just keep pinning all the way around, and then head straight to the sewing machine and join this together with 1/2 inch, guys. Back to the collar area, make sure you follow the exact same shape, and in order to do that you need to pin down. Okay, so go straight to the sewing machine and give this and join this together by 1/2 inch. So at this point, guys, I was done joining, and of course the only opening we have on this dress is on the armhole area, and that is where I'll be turning the whole fabric out from. And now I was done turning this out, and you see how rough this look. I gave it a good press, and this is what the hem area looks like. Can you see how neatly finished this looks? And here is what the center front looks like, and this is what the other side of the center front looks like, and that is what the collar looks like. Now it is time to attach our sleeves. Now I have on the channel already how to draft a basic sleeve, as that is what I will be making use of in this video. I also have a video on how to attach a two-piece sleeve, which I'll be leaving the link in the description box. So for if you want to make use of a two-piece sleeve, you could make use of that, but for me, I'll be making use of this basic sleeve without lining. Okay, without lining. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is to pick up my armhole area and then attach the basic sleeve to it. Now if you're making use of a lining with your basic sleeve, you're going to use the same method I showed us in how to join a two-piece sleeve in order to join that part, because you want to conceal your seams. Yes, you want to conceal the rough edges. You do not want the raw edges to show. But for this video, I will not be making use of lining at all. I will just be attaching my main fabric directly to my sleeve, rather, to my main fabric on the armhole area. Please make sure the shoulder line is aligning. This is very important. Okay, so when I was done pinning, I just went ahead to the sewing machine and then gave this a 1/2 inch stitch round. So when I'm done joining with 1/2 inch, I'll head straight to the serging machine and then serge the raw edges. So guys, you're also going to repeat this same process for the other part of the armhole. That is, you're going to attach the other sleeve to the other part. And at this point, guys, I was done joining. I gave this a very good press, and can you see how beautiful this more clover lapel came out? This is so beautiful. Do not mind my bra cuffs. So guys, this is what the collar area looks like, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just trying to show us how neatly finished the inside of this dress looks like. Can you see how beautiful that turned out? Here is the collar, well aligned. I gave it a good press. Can you see the lines? I wish this was a plain fabric, just so you'll be able to see the lines. Okay, so guys, that is just all for this video. And here I have my invisible pocket. Like I said before, if you want me to show us how to do that, I will surely do that. So please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Also subscribe and turn on your notification bell. And this is what the dress looks like on my dress front. Till I see you again, I'm Gift. Bye.